My name is Kevin Pearies. I am a Senior Applications Engineer at EXFO. And today I'll be covering custom report templates using FastReporter 3. And so if you sat in on some of my previous sessions, you might have seen me do some custom reporting, or if you sat in on some of my seminars for your particular company. So FastReporter 3 is our advanced reporting tool. So it takes OTDR traces, IOLM, power meter, fiber inspection, chromatic dispersion, polarized mode dispersion, span loss and ORL. It'll take those different test files and allow you to create a custom report or a pre-canned report that we have. Today I'll be covering custom reports. It's something that I do a lot for many of my customers. At the end of the day, getting that nice professional looking closeout package. First of all, it's what gets you paid. It's what gets circuits turned up. But if you make it look nice and professional, then it feels like a better package and like a better product for your customer. And so I'm going to cover just some tips on how to create your own personal custom template, kind of using some of the pre-canned templates that we have and just changing them around a little bit. So I'm not going to get too deep into the advanced part of it. It can get pretty powerful, which I'll show at the very end here. But really, I just want to kind of get you started so you have an idea of what your options are, when you're doing different reporting. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to FastReporter 3, which I already have started. I'm not going to get deep into all the functions of FastReporter 3, but FastReporter 3 is our advanced reporting tool, right? It allows you to create custom reports. So essentially, I can get in here, grab some traces. So for example, we'll say I'll grab some OTDR traces and an OLTS traces, right? So each one of these folders has test files for OTDR and OLTS. And essentially, I'll just grab them and I'll drag them into FastReporter 3. And again, I have a whole video on how to do FastReporter 3 processing. I'm not going to cover any of that. I'm just going to use the existing information that we have in here now, these match files. But essentially, what FastReporter allows you to do is, you select all these traces once they're all matched, and then you go up to reports, select, and there's a lot of pre-canned reports in here, right? This folder here, custom, and this folder here right below it, one fiber, are specific ones that I've created. So what comes with FastReporter is all of these other folders. So if you're just doing chromatic dispersion or fiber inspection, you can get in here and look at your different options. For example, I can get into OTDR, and I have different OTDR trace templates here. So I encourage you to try each one of them out to see which one really works well for you and which one you want to kind of adapt and make your own. So for example, I can take this OTDR multi-measurement or OTDR bidirectional, and I'll do the OTDR, just a standard OTDR one here. So it's going to take all the OTDR traces and kind of just create a template, a closeout package. So I'll select it, I'll give it a name. We'll just call it OTDR custom. And then I want to export it as Excel because that's what we're doing with custom reports. So I'm going to go ahead and hit it, I'm going to tell it where to save. I'm going to go ahead and hit OK. It's going to run in there and then create this pre-canned report. So this is one of the reports that comes with FastReporter. And so if I go over here, look at it, enable the content, you can see all my individual traces here. One for 1310, one for 1550 for every single fiber. So it gives you a nice clean report here, but how do I customize this to make this my own? And that's what we're going to do real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and close this out. And one thing I want to do is I want to get in there, maybe add some logos, change a color scheme, something like that, right? So I'm going to go to my File Explorer. So within the PC, we save these custom templates. And so I'm going to go ahead and go to the C drive. Then I'm going to go to Program Data. And Program Data might be hidden, so you might have to unhide this, right? So if I go to View here, I can unhide hidden folders, right? So I'm going to go to Program Data. I'm going to go to EXFO. I'm going to go to FastReporter 3, or 2 if you have 2. This will work for 2 as well. And I'm using version 3.7 right now. And under there, I have report template. And there's one universal sheet in here. If I open this universal sheet up, this is all of the syntax that we support for all the different test sets. So every single one of these means something. We're getting more to the advanced side of it. But if there's something that you're trying to capture that we don't capture in the custom report, you can get in here and see if that is a syntax that we can support into a custom report, right? Like say you want to say, I want to add the fiber size in there. I want to add in there that it's a 9 micron or something like that. You can do that. That's what it allows you to do here. I don't want to get too deep into that yet. That's more of an advanced session. What I want to do is I want to get and find that OTDR report. Remember, it was an OTDR, and then it was just OTDR. I don't want to use the original. I want to make a copy. So I'll go ahead and make a copy of this original here. And usually I'll put it into my own folder. So I'll create another folder within OTDR and then maybe call it custom. That way you can separate the custom ones from the ones that you're using. So I'll go ahead and move that copied folder or template over. And then I'll give it a name. And I'll go ahead and call it, OTDR custom. Whatever. I'm going to go ahead and open this up. And then here's what all of this syntax looks like. So if you go to that universal sheet, you can kind of compare some of these syntaxes to see how they work. And each one of these little symbols means something. So, you have basically the dollar signs here. You have some brackets in some locations. And so each one of these things means something. So this symbol here, kind of this less than greater than symbol here, means that there's only one piece of data for this item. So there's only one serial number. There's only one location A. There's only one comment. And so that means you expect only one piece of information. Some of these other ones mean, well, there's going to be multiple pieces of information. So one for 1310, one for 1550, and to put them on top of each other. That's what the dollar sign stands for. And then, you get a little bit more advanced as you go down here. Do not, in the very beginning, add or remove any rows unless you know what you're doing. So if I were to go in here and add a row, just so I can put some additional information in there, then it's going to mess up some of the configuration options. So we have some configuration options that are in here, and you can find them in a configuration tab. So you might have to unhide it because they're normally hidden. So go ahead and right click down here, unhide it, and just the configurations, don't unhide the tables. And then it doesn't look like much, but hit Control A and then unhide, and then there'll be additional information here. See this A34 to M35? This will not update when you add rows. So A34 is basically here. So A34 is this one, and then the other one is M35. So we cannot change these two fields, and M35 is going to be hidden. So if you notice here, it's hidden. If you notice under 34 here, we're kind of blank. See that right there? Or you see that hidden row? So if I expand that out, this is where our pass fails are at. This is the syntax for pass fails. And so M34, or it was which one was it? It was M35. So there's M35. So I like to highlight those two. So if I do change or add any rows, say there's some columns I don't like, or information that I don't need, and I want to kind of compress, the report a little bit from conciseness, then I might start deleting rows here. If I delete rows, I need to update this range here. So I like to highlight it so I know where it's at. And then I go ahead and rehide this eventually. And I'll show you what this right here is, right? And so there's going to be some hidden rows in here that are for the pass-fail thresholds. So just keep that in mind as you're adding rows, that some of these things might reveal themselves. So I'm going to get here and say, you know what? I want to expand this out a little bit here, right? And I want to change the color scheme. So, I want to use one of my corporate color schemes. And this is one of EXFO's corporate color schemes. And I want this to be white. So I'm just going in here and just making it pretty a little bit more. Might increase this a bit. I might go in there, you know what? I want to add a logo. So I'll add an image from, my files here. So I'll go ahead and add an image. And so I'm going to say, you know what? So I saved my images. I have an image gallery. And I got one's full of logos for a lot of different customers and contractors that I work with. I'm just going to stick with, obviously, ours. I don't want to use one of my customers. And, I want a white logo. So I'm going to go ahead and do a PNG. I want to make sure it's not too big of a file. Because then it does matter for file size, right? So I'm going to say, I'm going to go in here and put it here. So I'm going to go in here and say, yeah, here's EXFO. And this one right here has got a lot of, I might crop this down a little bit, just because it's got a lot of this wasted space here. But you get the point. I don't want to get too crazy with it. Anyway, so there's my EXFO logo there. I'm pretty happy with that. Maybe I want to make these bold. Maybe I want to change where they're at. You know, whatever you want to do, highlight, whatever you want to do to make it look a little bit more professional. And so this is basically what you can do. And this is some of the stuff that I like to do, right? I like to get rid of the grid lines. I think it looks better this way. And then I can start moving some of this stuff around. I can get, you know what, I don't really care about calibration date. So I can either hide it, which is easier, but then the information is still there, or I can just completely delete it. I can completely delete it. If I want to get rid of this line completely, I can. So if I delete this line, remember we have to update this range back to where it's at. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this line just because I want to show you to update the range. And we can get in there and kind of change stuff around, right? And if there's information here you want to add, then that's where you can basically go to that universal sheet and maybe borrow some syntax from there. You know, borrow some syntax from there. So I can go in here and say, you know what, I'm on the OTDR. So let's go to the OTDR area. Here we go. And here's some of the information for the OTDRs. Maybe I want to add launch cable length or something like that. Helix factor, those types of things. Maybe I want to add those in. Then I can do that, right? I can get in here, I can find the syntax for launch cables. If I want to make it quicker, I just type in the word launch, see if I can find it. So find the next one. So that's for IOLM, here we go. Launch fiber length, right? Receive fiber length. So I can take both of these syntax here. Let's say I want to do receive fiber, because I'm requiring my testers to do receive fiber. I can go in here and then go back to this custom template here, and I can find a place to put it. If I didn't delete that other line, then I could have just moved that, you know, and added a line here. But I can go in here and say, you know what, I want to add it to test parameter. So I'm going to insert another row here. Because I inserted another row, I don't have to update the range. And I can put in there, I want to put launch cable length. All right. So launch cable length, I can add in here if I wanted to, right? So I can do that, add the launch cable length in there, and then put some values in there. Then I can go in there and say, you know what? Because there's only one launch cable, I can just do something like this. Or receive cable, rather. I put launch, but receive. So I can say receive cable length. And I'll just shorten it here. And then now it's going to give me the receive length cable here. So if that's something that I want to track. In this case here, I'm not going to keep that in there. It's not very valuable to me. And I can get in here again and then just make everything look the way that I want. All right, so I can get in here and just keep updating all of either my fonts or the way everything looks, as much as I want to kind of customize it, right? As much as I want to customize it. And you can get pretty detailed. So once you get pretty good at this, you know, understanding what everything's doing is great. And you can also, because this is Excel, you can put formulas in here that might do some extra flagging for you of information. And remember, I showed you that this little pass-fail here. So why do we have this here? Because if we're doing pass-fail, when we generate the report, it's either going to say fail or pass or warning here. And under this lost column, this is going to have the loss for that particular event. If I were to go up here to conditional formatting, which is normally under home, conditional formatting, and manage it, here's the rules. If I-34, so I-34 is this right here, if it says warning, then make I-33 yellow. If it says fail, then make it red. See how that works? It's called conditional formatting. And so that's what it's doing there. So now it's A33 to M34, right? If I wanted to get rid of some of this stuff, because I'm like, you know what, I don't care about markers. And I don't care about markers or what the information is there. I can go ahead and dump that. That is below this, so I don't have to update anything for that. And then here's my pass-fail. If I wanted to move my pass-fail up above, you know, the event table, then I can do that as well. Right now it's below it. So if I wanted to move this above, I can just go in here and say, you know what? I want to move these rows here. So I can copy that row. I'm going to say, you know, I want to put it right in here. So now I can insert the copied cells, and then I can add one blank cell, one blank one there. So now we have it up here instead of down there. And of course I can also get in here and then do this. So now it looks a little bit more professional. If I don't care about warnings at all, I can just get rid of them. Shift everything to the left. Got rid of it. Right? If I don't need any of this column here, I can get rid of this as well. and then shift that to the left. But now I got all this space here that I may or may not need, so I might get in here and say, you know what, I want to let's just center that there, and then get rid of all of this. Shift to the left again. And I got this big blank space where I can put more data. I can add more information here if I wanted to. Now we have to give this a little bit more room because it's gonna add extra columns here, you know, for what it needs. But you get an idea of what we're doing here, right? You're getting an idea of what we're doing here. We're kind of creating a little custom template that's just ours, that has our logo, so we get our branding, which is good for our company. It's also good for our customers as well, right? And this also allows me to create custom templates that you can use that match the templates that you're doing for your customer. So I can go ahead and save this here. If I go back into FastReporter, if I've done everything right, I can select this and go to Custom OTDR, and then here's my custom OTDR report. And keep in mind, as you mess around, and I didn't update the range, so this might be messed up, which is a good test, I guess. Keep in mind, if you mess something up, you can theoretically put a syntax in there that creates a loop, and so it can lock up FastReporter. So keep that in mind. So here is my my table. See how it's all messed up here? It's all messed up because I didn't redo the range. So let me get in here. Remember the range? Now it's going to be A44 to M45. So I'm going to go in here and say A44 to M45. Right? Now I've updated that range there. I can get rid of this highlight here and here. Then I can hide this again, so it's back where it's at. You know, and I can even, I forgot to get rid of the pass fails down here, so I get rid of this pass fails. So now it's, oops. So let me get rid of the pass fail here, so it's gone. And I don't know what I messed up there, but I hit a button that deleted too much, so I just did undo. So basically, you know, so now we have a basic template here. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to FastReporter 3. And then within FastReporter 3 here, I'm going to hit select. I'm going to do custom. I'll just leave the name alone, because I wanted to keep this video fairly brief. And then now we should have a custom template. And so you see kind of our logo there. You see our new color scheme, some of the bold that I put in there. Again, we can still fill this with some additional information if we want. And then here is my nice little event table. And each one of these is going to be edited just like that. So I don't want to get much deeper than this, but I encourage you to get in there and kind of look at some of the syntax and understand what it's trying to do. And there is one golden template in here. So if I go over here, back to where the report templates are within the File Explorer, if you go to OTDR here, OTDR Advanced Cable, this advanced cable has much of the syntax that you're allowed to use. If you look at it, it's very, very, you know, detailed. So it's a bit more complex, but this gives you an idea of some of the syntax and what they're capable of doing. And each one of these, remember, means something. So the double greater than symbols here and less than symbols mean only input one field in this area. So only one date. If there's multiple pieces of information, like say you had 4 different dates, then it'll put 4 different dates in this one cell. So it means just one cell of data. It can be multiple information, but one cell of data. So be careful there. The $ means to add a row, basically. So you know it kind of adds a row, and so there's a lot of these different syntax in here that means something. And there's brackets, and this one gets really complex. This means add a row and add a column. So we're not going to get into this right here. This is incredibly complex there, but you can kind of poke around and see it. Remember, you just got to unhide, and then unhide all the cells, and never work on the originals, right? Because you don't want to, because it is destructive, and you don't want to mess up the good templates that you do have. But that really is kind of it in a nutshell. I know it's a bit of information, but you know, I just wanted to kind of show you the power of it, because quite honestly, you know, with the custom reports, if you get pretty good at it, or if you need any assistance, of course, I can help. So let me show you a really cool custom report that I did, just to kind of get you excited about what you can do with custom templates. So I created one for full fiber characterization. So as you know, I used to do some fiber characterization testing. So basically what I've done here, so let me move my big head. Basically what I've done here is I've loaded OTDR, OLTS, so span, loss, span, ORL, chromatic dispersion, and polarized mode dispersion all into FastReporter 3. So I have them all selected. I have them all matching. I just go into report, and I'm going to select a custom report. So I have one here. So I have it selected. I can give it a name, FC Report Demo. It's Excel. Hit OK, and check this out. No typing, no nothing. All I've done is just make sure that all the data was good and that all the files were matching within FastReporter. And then here we go. As quickly as that, I have myself a custom report. I have some macros in here. I'm going to rename all these tabs here. So 1 through 24 down here. And then it also creates this cover sheet with a table of content. So now I can go to every single tab quickly with just hyperlinks. First tab, full fiber characterization sheet. Look at this. This is really powerful for engineers and people designing transport systems. It has all the major KPIs for layer 1 physical layer testing, for DWDM, for high-speed bandwidth, for transport, design. Has your span loss, your ORL, some of your OTDR information, chromatic dispersion, CD, all in one sheet. And then this is just looking at span loss and span ORL if you want to drill down into that information. This is just looking at CD PMD, so you see that information here. Front-end connectors, which is really important, particularly if you're designing systems that have Raman amplifiers or amplifiers in general. You want to see what the front-end reflection looks like, particularly near the amplifier. And on this one, I didn't have a launch cable on the other side, so I didn't get any of the connector loss, but that's fine. And then I got my OTDR information all drilled down. I even created little macros here because I hate going to every tab and then scrolling down. Every tab and scrolling down. It's pretty painful, right? So I created a macro here. I said, I want all OTDR sheets to go to the element table. Click it. And then now if I go to page number 1 here, I just hit control page down and I'm scrolling across the element tables and just looking for fails. I can do the same thing if I like looking at the graph. So now I'm looking at the graph and I'm just looking for anything that's obvious in the mix here. And then of course move it all back up to the top. And there you go. An awesome custom report that I made for full fiber characterization. You can add in your own custom cover sheets, information, all that kind of stuff in there. Really powerful. But essentially that is custom report templates with FastReporter. My name is Kevin Pires. Thank you very much for your time.